Hey, it's Izzy Dakota Jones here with the Art of Doing podcast for 2022. We're going to be talking to Pat Axe. Now, Pat Axe is a musician, guitar player, singer, songwriter, and he comes from Toronto, Canada. And he's moved over to the West Coast. So we're going to have a chat with Mr. Pat Axe. He's got some cool stories to talk to you about. He's got that blues kind of rootsy guitar feel, style. And so we'll be talking to Pat. Just give me a minute and we'll dial up and see if we can get a hold of Pat. Stay tuned.
Hello.
Hey, Pat, how you doing?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. Good. Let's get this talk going on this, do this little interview. I'd love to do this with you.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
What are you doing? You're recording it and then editing it and putting it on later or something?
That's right. Yeah. That's how we do it. Yeah. Cool. So, hey, let's get going. So, Pat, tell me now, how long have you been playing guitar and singing for, and how, not only how long, what kind of style do you that influences you do?
Well, I mean, going back to when I was a kid, seeing the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, a year later, seeing Chuck Berry doing, in 1965, seeing Chuck Berry do Maybelline on TV, kind of like, it just rocked my world, and I was like a 9-year-old kid. And then I took lessons when I was like 14, like a lot of kids do. And then my brother played. The guitar sat in the corner for a while. And then I got back to it, and then I played bass for a little while. I learned how to learned to read music. I learned how to read music at 14. I could figure out what was on a staff, and that was very influential. And being a child in the 60s, I was the perfect age. In 1966, when the Monkees came on, I just turned 11 years old. I was in grade 5, I think, and when the Monkees came on TV. So, I was like the demographic they were after. So, I was never the big kid. I was always artistic. So, it was a combination of always being the artistic, not being the athletic kid, being just a small kid and being left-handed and all those. And I like pop art and pop culture and the Beatles and all that. And it kind of all just came together through that, my artistic, the way I play. And so I got into playing guitar, but I got serious with guitar when I was about 17. And so the radio, the stuff that I got really turned on by when I was 17. I was in grade 11, yeah. And it was Johnny Winter Still Alive and Well.
Oh, yeah.
All the Alice Cooper stuff from the early 70s. A lot of people that are young now would not know, but Alice Cooper was like the biggest thing on the planet in 1972, 73. And I just loved the sound of those blazing SGs and all the Cream stuff, which is, so I entered high school and Jimi Hendrix died like a week after I started high school.
Yeah.
September 1970, I entered high school. 2 weeks later, Jimi Hendrix died, and then Joplin, and then Dwayne Allman, and so on and so forth. So those are big influences. So, I was influenced heavily by what was going on from, the years I was in, the whole Beatle years, right? The later Beatle years I was more aware of than the early Beatle years.
Exactly, yeah.
And then, so through high school, and I was messing around with instruments, I got serious about guitar when I was like 17 in grade 11, and like a lot of people do, and then I became an obsession. And I was always good because I been familiar with playing a bit of piano and a bit of this, that, and the other. I could always pluck out a good melody line, and then once I learned a couple of chords, everything sort of started coming together. And then I started taking lessons again, and learned to read music and learn what the notes were I was playing, and and so on and so forth. And guitar is a complicated instrument because there's 2 middle C's on it. Piano is only one.
That's right. Yeah. So So tell me, so when you started learning how to, what you were actually playing and doing, did that also influence you into, songwriting and getting into, when did you start putting what you've learned to to your creativity, to where it joined all together? When would you say, about when you were 17, 18, around then?
Well, I started jamming with my buddies when we were all about 19.
Okay.
And what it was is, my best friend and I were like 22 days apart in age, and he was playing drums at the same time as I started playing guitar. So it was back in the day when I started playing, it was like you had to be able to play a bossa nova to a rumba to a samba, to a waltz, to a rock and roll, to whatever.
Yeah.
Just be able to switch on a dime if you wanted. So I mean, we would sit there and just quiz each other, and through that, I came up with all these different chord structures. Sometimes it was just him and I in a room, me with my guitar plugged in, him on his kit, and he'd go play me a rock and roll song, so I'd make one up.
Oh, I see.
Then, and through the years, I cultivated all of these riffs and rhythms that I accumulated, I gathered them, I collected them.
Right on.
Of all these little original pieces I made up, and we used to listen to a lot of Pink Floyd. That's like like around the Dark Side of the Moon period, and Jethro Tull, and all that kind of music. It's like so we're little space cadets basically.
So tell me also, Pat. You grew up in Toronto, am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. So
the two biggest influences of my playing, I just have to put this out there. For the time when I was that age, you got to remember, Eric Clapton disappeared around 1970, so he wasn't around in the early 70s. The only guitar, and Jimi Hendrix is dead, and Duane Allman died a year later. But the only person who was around, he kind of set the precedent for it, was Mick Taylor, lead guitar player with the Rolling Stones. He kind of made the blueprint in the early 70s of what to strive for if you're going to be a lead guitar player in a band. And he kind of defined the role more than anybody I know from that era. I mean, he's like on all those great Rolling Stones hits.
Yeah.
He's the lead guitar player on most of that stuff. That he plays a slide guitar part on Happy and all that.
Yeah.
And Johnny Winter has always been a big influence. So the two guys who were alive and in circulation then were Johnny Winter and Mick Taylor. Those are the guys for me.
Yeah. So you had that.
Santana came into the mix.
But you basically, what it sounds like, at some point you found your roots. The rootsy music really appealed to you, like the blues rock sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And the real bluesy stuff. Yeah, like Mick Taylor also played. He also played with John Mayall, right? In the early days too. Yeah.
Before he joined the Stones. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And then if you listen to a lot of Johnny Winter stuff, some of the young people won't recognize, but Johnny Winter did did some covers, and they were Rolling Stones songs, Rolling Stone covers too.
I think he released his version of Silver Train before the Stones put out Go Set Too.
I think so. You might have. And then he also did Straight Cat Blues, right? Did a version of that. And he also did Let It Bleed, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so he did a few, and
well, that's one of the songs I do.
That's right too. That's one. I remember hearing you do that last time we were gigging together, and that was great to hear that. Nobody I've heard do that for like I don't know how long, right? A really long time, right? So it's a great sing along song, right? That was a good one. Yeah, that was a good pick. Way to go. Yeah, right on. So when you were in Toronto. What kind of gigs and what did you do? What was happening in Toronto when you first started playing? What was the scene like?
When I first started playing regularly, I was playing in reggae bands. I got into, I was playing previous to that, I was playing folk clubs, and I was busking on the street in 1979, and then by 1980 I was playing in some folk clubs with some friends and jamming in the basement endlessly. And then around 81 I met some Jamaican guys, and we got together, and they, no matter what they played or wanted to play, they couldn't stump me, and I liked the music, and we connected. It's like, for a bunch of strangers to get together, and it was like we just clicked, and I stuck with them for a few years, and then we went our separate ways, and then I hooked up with some friends with a combination of some of those guys and my old friends, and we created something different. I put together a band that was reggae rock. And so, I mean, I played the Barbadian clubs in southern Ontario and and places in Scarborough and, just around the areas.
Yeah.
And then I did the same with that other incarnation. I played a lot of the major clubs around town in the spring and the summer of '83, and I think the winter of '83 or '84, whatever. And then from there, I ventured off, and that band went the way of a lot of bands. And then I ventured off and got back to my roots. The crux of my playing has always been blues. I've always been a rock and roll player.
Yeah.
Even when I was playing in reggae bands, I was always just basically playing blues and rock and roll and soul music. It's all the same.
Yeah.
And
so you played a lot of Southern Ontario, like Scarborough would be really good for reggae and stuff like that for sure. And so in Toronto, did you play anywhere on Yonge Street? Any of the famous bars on Yonge Street?
I didn't play any of the places ages and ages ago, but I mean, I played places along the Danforth. I played places on Queen Street. I used to play the Isabella, played Larry's Hideaway numerous times, played Lee's Palace numerous times.
Right on.
My regular haunt that I used to live nearby, and for the last 10 years I was in Toronto. I was pretty near there most of the time. It was kind of like the neighborhood's back porch. It was a place called the Black Swan.
Okay.
View Danforth, and so I mean, because we all hung out there. And we were, and I used to play in the beaches. Played in the beaches a lot too.
Yeah.
So I mean, over the years, I played places like the Diamond Club, the Horseshoe, more than once or twice, and Silver Dollar, the Cabana Room, and Sneaky D's, and Lee's Palace, and these are the names. These are the rooms that people would know the names.
That's
of.
right. Those are the bars. Yeah.
I remember, like the Horseshoe. The Horseshoe is back in the old days. It used to be twice the size. The room in the back was like way bigger.
Yeah.
But it got so. I mean, that's how far back I remember I can go. And it used to be a really cool bar on Queen Street. It was called the Black Bull, which was a hoot. And any given night, you'd line up like Frankie Benham up on stage with you. And I put together a band one time with a friend of mine who's a harmonica player, Rob Belmore, the Blues Butcher, and then Nick Stepanis, who was the drummer with Teenage Head, and myself on guitar, and I can't remember who was playing bass. He was the straight man of the bunch, and he thought we were all out of our frickin' minds. This is probably around 1987. But I mean, it was like Queen Street around 1987 when it was full tilt boogie, and it was like any given night at the Horseshoe, at the Black Bull or the Horseshoe, was a lot of cowboy boots and black leather jackets and pompadour hairdos.
Yeah.
So and Frankie Venom and Nick Stepanis are local heroes. So I mean, and there's also another band that used to hang around. I used to go and see them a lot too. They were influential on the way I played. I got into listening to rockabilly through them. There was a band called the Tennessee Rockets.
Oh, right on.
And there was also the Razorbacks who were around Toronto too. So all that stuff influenced me in the way I played. That was all part of my generation's thing anyway.
So when did you come out to the West Coast? When did you head out to?
I arrived here October 28th, 1993.
Right on. Okay. Right on. Right on. Yeah. So do you came at a very interesting time on the West Coast too, because things were starting to bubble around that time again. They're starting to pick up again too. That's right. So when you came out here, what did you go first into playing live? How did you get involved in meeting the musicians out this way? How did that go for you?
Well, when I came out here and I felt like a fish out of water. I didn't have any money and basically trying to orientate myself. And also, I came out here for family stuff. My mom was here, and my dad passed away. My mom and dad retired out here, so I came out here to take care of my mom. And once I was out here, it was like, you start overthinking your life, and you go, should I stay or shouldn't I go? Should I stay?
Yeah.
So you go, I don't know if I belong. I don't feel like I belong. I don't feel like I can go home. So I was trying to make the best of it and take care of my mom because she was still in shock. My dad died. So I basically just tried to earn some money here and there, and then I waited through the winter. I got here at the end of October. I went through, did the family thing, and then basically started venturing out, I think, in February. And I just remember going, God, it was warmer here, but, two things that struck me is the weather, it sure is wet. And the other thing I kept looking for is the downtown.
Yeah.
Toronto's got a distinct big downtown.
Yeah, it's huge.
You get off the subway, boom, you're downtown. And it's like, I'm going, there's got to be something else. They're hiding it, aren't they? and people are going, no, it's this. I'm going, what?
Yeah.
So it took me 6 months. Took me a good year to wind down. But I think it was around the end of February '94. I started venturing out. And because I don't drive, so I hopped on I went downtown, and I think I went to the Yale, and I went to a few other places, and basically just felt it out, and I was in a town of people. I was in a town of people. I didn't know anybody. I can go out for a day by myself and end up meeting a frickin' ton of people, and I'm just one of those kinds of people. I have no problem melting in or carrying on conversation with complete strangers.
Yes.
So it was just finding, it's like I was new. It's just like I said, fish out of water. I didn't know this town's behavior, right? And usually you don't come barging into a town going, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
And everything looks so foreign. And the other thing that they don't tell you, for a while after you move to a new town, for a while there's certain things you find similar, and you see people who you go, oh, that looks like Bob from, and it's like, oh, no, it's not.
That's interesting. Yeah, like you're right. I never thought about it. It must be a bit of a culture shock coming to the West Coast, because it's not only it's different climate wise, but it is different just the size of it, right? Because Toronto is just so huge, right? I mean, Toronto's like really big compared to Vancouver, right? I mean,
and Vancouver hadn't had the huge boom then. Vancouver was a nice, sleepy little town. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
I loved it, and it was different.
Yeah,
and I liked it a lot then. So it's like that's what people liked about Vancouver.
Yes,
right?
yes.
They didn't want, but that was then. This is now.
Yeah, it's totally true. It's totally different now. That's for sure. Now it's like what Toronto might have been a long time ago. I mean, Toronto now is twice as big now, but it won't. Vancouver, I don't think will ever catch up to it. But you never know. But
no.
So anyways, talking about nowadays. I mean, how have you? I mean, when you came out here, you started playing a lot, and people got to know who you were. You started getting to know the city and stuff, and playing out here a bit. And you started, I guess you've recorded, I guess, some material in the last little while. I mean, what have you done during, it wasn't much we could do during pandemic, because remember you and I were hooking up, doing gigs together and stuff, and then all of a sudden, kaboom, right? Then things just went dead, right? Deader than a doornail for the last couple of years. Have you been writing in the meantime and sort of piecing yourself together because the new band that you got is great. I mean, it's sort of
well, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you just turned around and it just I mean, it was fun before too. I mean, I liked your solo stuff too, because it kind of, like you said, had that folky vibe to it that was kind of cool, right? And people were entertained by it, and I thought, this is fun. This is really good. It's fun to listen to some, because what happens is, I think with you is, I don't know if you, my observation of when I watch you play is that it's pretty authentic. Like when you play Pat Axe, that is who Pat Axe is. Like that. What I mean? You get that authentic sounding style. Like you're playing and you're singing, you're performing. Not a lot of people sound like you or play like you. That's a good thing. That's a really good thing, right?
Well, I've been told. Well, it's like a lot of it comes from just being able to express myself and finding the right. I know my limitations. I work with those, but then my biggest influences are people like singers like John Lennon and Hank Williams, and George Harrison, Jagger, and even Keith Richards, right, and Ray Charles and Steve Marriott, right? Really soulful music.
Yeah.
And so you just play and you work with what you know, and it's I love Chuck Berry where he goes, everybody's going to school, everybody got to go to work, everybody's got a wife, so you find all the common ground, right? It's like a good stand-up comic does that too. They find all the common ground, you craft a song out of that. That's where it was, so I try to create a vibe and take on a character. I'm not as outgoing in real life as I am on stage. People who know me will can attest to where sometimes I've had to come knock on my door to get me out of the house.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. So you're like a lot of musicians, a lot of artists. You're an introvert too, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. You're an introvert, but when you get on stage, it's like a whole new. It's almost like your character changes, and you're having a good time. What do you like? What do you like better? I mean, as musicians, as we're getting a little older, I mean, I prefer, not all the time, but a lot of times these days, I prefer like writing and recording, right, over playing live. I mean, I love playing live, but I really like the art of recording and writing more so now than I probably did. What do you prefer? Do you like them both, or do you have a preference to one? Sometimes exceeds. One you have more fun with.
Oh, the thing I get the biggest buzz from, is when I've got a band rehearsed.
Yes.
When I got my band rehearsed and we do one of my songs.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's great.
And when we do one of my songs and it comes off really well, and I get the fist pump up in the air from a couple people going, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, that's true. That's
it. That's the part that keeps me going.
Yeah, so you like that. You like that connection, right? Yeah.
And the other thing I really like, and anybody who writes, there's original spark of when a song comes to you, and it's a song. Or when it comes together, and it's not just a spark. Like all the pieces come together, and you're worried about to finish writing a song. Once you finish writing a song, I'm not as interested in it anymore. It's very weird.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't know. That's okay. I think that's just sometimes that's a creative process, right? That's how it ends up happening. That's interesting. That's great. Yeah, you can see that. You can see that when you're up on stage playing and singing. You can see, when I can see it, the look on your face when something feels, everybody gets the vibe, like, oh, that was really cool, because then you see a smile on your face, so I guess like you connect it, right? So with everybody in the crowd, which is cool.
Yeah, content look.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess like during the pandemic time, there's not much else you could do, but like most people just write and just sit back and listen to music yourself, right? Because there was nowhere to go, right?
Well, I've been trying to perform online, do little bits here and there, put things on YouTube, and occasionally I'll record a backing track, right? And then I'll plug it into my PA in my basement, and I'll play it through that, and I'll play along to it and sing a song. And
that's good.
You see me doing that on YouTube and posting it on Facebook.
And,
so that's been keeping me occupied, and I've been writing some songs, I've written a bunch of songs. I wrote this one tune. It's an instrumental, and I haven't written any lyrics for it yet, but it's called two elements I could get into long. I'll explain to you one day, but the name of the song is Jack Daniels by the Pyramids. It's an instrumental. I have it up on YouTube and on Facebook somewhere. And then and I wrote another tune called Save Me, and it's basically the first verse is, driving down the road, I got Hank on the radio, thinking about you, thinking about all the things you've done to me. One of those kinds of songs.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I just put my mind, what it is, I get, a lot of times my songs, bits and pieces of music lying around. That's what it is. The music almost always comes first. I've always got a piece of music that I can drop words into. So basically, I heard this piece of music, and my head, and it was just like there's only 7 notes in a scale, so I found the chord structure, and then I went. Then I wrote that line, driving down the road, got Hank on my radio, and then it just just one step after another, and then I wrote a bridge, and boom, I got a song, and I got that posted up somewhere too. It might be on Facebook, and it might be on It's on Instagram anyway. And so I got a bunch of stuff on new songs. Like some really good ones. I mean, the song "Save Me." It's like everybody goes. It's really hard to be objective with your stuff, with your own material. But I mean, the craftsmanship that went into writing this new song I wrote called "Save Me," I couldn't have done it 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. I couldn't have, I wrote Better Things. Better Things is one of the earliest songs I wrote. So it's Left-Handed Blues I wrote in 1976, but that's, I've been, it's just a matter of getting consistency in my writing. It's like, for every 10 songs I come up with the rhythms or little bits. I used to write all over matchbooks and back of books and inside, whatever, anything I can get my hands on. I have little pieces here and there. So the creative process is funny.
Yeah, it is. It's especially like we're saying during pandemic time. So you basically did, like a lot of people take advantage of the internet, right? I mean, and even now it's a great thing to take advantage of, right? Because you reach and you meet all different kinds of people all over the place, right?
It's not like I've been feeling stifled musically. I got some stuff happened a couple of years ago, and it basically, with the pandemic hit, and there was other stuff that was going on in my life, and all of a sudden when the pandemic hit, I kind of lost a bit of not my edge, but just the little spark that makes me want to write songs.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah.
The little bit of whatever.
Well, I think life sometimes just beats you up, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and basically just trying, just trying to find some consistency, and if I thought too hard about it, so what I did was I got into, and I've done it over the years, where I just get into a period where I just practice my core elements, and I have a classical guitar at home too, right?
Right.
So I have, it's like I've got a couple of steel string acoustics, and I've got a dobro, and I got a classical guitar, all right? So, I mean, I mix it up. Sometimes I'll have my dobro's always sitting on a stand, and I'll pull my classical out and I'll play that. And I haven't been doing that much lately. I've played my Tac Mini a lot, because the Tac Mini is a guitar I write on.
Right.
And I've also got a bass. When I get really, really bored of playing guitar, I pull out my bass.
Cool.
And I just play it, sit there and just thump away on it and work on rhythm.
Right
so,
on.
Yeah, I just get, when you get really bored with life or you get stagnant, just, clean the house, cut the lawn, just practice your rudiments. Something will come to you.
Yeah, good.
Because you'll be wanting to do something else. Because you'll get creative, because you'll want to do something else so badly, because you're doing something you just find, do something really mundane.
Yeah.
Right? And then you'll get, and then after doing something really mundane, it's like, Karate Kid, wipe on, wipe off.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a good point. So in other words, like you sort of like just take yourself somewhere else and doing something else, and I guess you also at the same time you learn to appreciate what you have. You know what I mean? Like what you creatively you can do to make yourself feel better and have a good time, right? Yeah. No, that's a good idea.
We all have day jobs, right? I mean, we don't all. I mean, some of us are lucky enough to earn our living from our crafts.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah. Well, I don't think nowadays anybody is, right? Now we're all in the same boat now, right? It's very hard to unless you're playing with some megastar, and even then you're probably not making a lot of money nowadays, right? So that
you just do it because you love it.
Yeah, you do it because you love it, and that's the best part of it, right? I mean that's the whole thing. You do it because you love it. There's a song there, Pat. You just do it because you love it. There's a song right there. So that's great. So you're like I said, I like the band. We've done some shows together in East Van and the Hood, and we got a couple more coming up. It's great. Things are sort of opening up. We hope, cross our fingers now, and
Yes.
and you're gonna get out and get playing with that band more because you got a good band and it's fun, right? So
Yeah.
where are you? What are you guys gonna? Are you gonna continue just to evolve with the band and see where it takes you? What's your plans?
Well, my plan is right now I'm building a website
Right.
and getting my website together, my EPK, and I have recordings that I've done over the years at a studio with called Barrel House Sound. I've recorded most of my songs there, and I've got a backlog of songs. So I'm going to try to get in touch. I'm getting to get in touch with the gentleman who owns the place, and Scott Willard, and try to arrange to get together with them, or just find out what songs he has in mind that are mastered, because I want to master them. And I got a Bandzoogle site being put together, and through Bandzoogle I put together my EPK. So I'm putting all that together, and plus I have an album which I released out in the latter part of 2013, and it's just called Pat Axe, and you can find it on YouTube and on Spotify. Six of my original songs are on there, and so I'm going to link up all my bits and pieces that are floating around into one site so people can see them, and put some new stuff in there for people, people to download or purchase, and put some merch on there, and so I plan on getting my EPK together, and then one thing at a time. So right now I've got somebody who's going to do it, so I'm putting that together, and then I've got other plans. I like to, if I get all my ducks in a row and I'm able to do it, I like to get the band, somehow, if I get all my ducks in a row and I have time, try to get into some of the festivals across the country. And, like I said, I'm from Toronto, too, so, and I have recordings of my stuff already that is out there that's, so I'm trying to connect all the dots of my PayPal and SoCan and blah, blah, all the business stuff.
Right.
So what I'm basically working on doing is making sure I have all my ducks in a row.
Yeah.
So that way I'm easy for somebody. If they look at me and go, wow, what a good band. Well, let me see your EPK. Hand them the EPK address, and they can look it up. See, I got my things together. And then that way, if they want to manage me, all they have to do is just move it forward. I can only take it so far as a performer. That's my job, writing songs, performing, keeping
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And if I can find a manager, and promoter, then that's basically so I'm working on getting all my stuff together, all my business, and then I'm going to work on trying to, get a grant writer, and then from there find a manager, right? It's not like I'm a kid who needs direction. I mean, I'm already me. I'm already Pat Axe. I can kind of have my own brand. I do what I do.
That's right. And that's what, like I said to you earlier in the conversation, that sort of makes you kind of stand out. You're kind of unique in what you do and the way you bring it forward. And that's cool. That really helps, right? And because it keeps it real. You know what I mean? You're not trying to copycat somebody. You're not trying to be anything different. Be different. You just that's who you are. That's who Pat Axe is, right? So that's great, and that's you got lots. Well, you got in other words, you got a goal to get things done and take another step forward. That's great. That's really good to do. What
I have is my band, which is Bobby, Paul, Steve, and Andy, and myself. And what I need to do is find a manager who can get me booked into places and keep us working, so that way we can get to the next step quicker. That's basically, because I've worked in bands over the years, and some bands just click with an audience, right? I used to have a band in the 80s called Gas Money and Cigarettes. We were a three-piece band, occasionally we'd have a harmonica player. And we're basically just, this is basically Gas Money and Cigarettes is kind of the model that I made the new Pat Axe band, designed the Pat Axe band around. It's kind of like, Fly Without a Net, play a bit of Johnny Winter with a kind of ZZ Top Van Halen kind of attitude towards it,
That's cool. That's cool.
So yeah, it's and I've got a band. The bass player Bobby Scaper. I've known him for he's one of my oldest friends in Vancouver. So I met him I think in February or something like that, or March of '94, and we've been pretty consistent friends since. So
cool.
So it's like we're finally so it's like it's a real camaraderie. I can play. I'm getting to the point with the band where I'm actually able to walk the fine, because we're all experienced players. There's this I like it when the rhythm's established, but nobody's, the drummer's got it, right? So it's like that's why when you listen to bands like the Beatles, they sound so huge, because nobody's doing the same thing. Ringo's playing something so established, he doesn't have to be played again.
Yeah.
And you got somebody playing another offbeat, and then a beat off of that, and harmony, and the next thing you know, God walks in the room.
Yeah. That's great.
Miles Davis was like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to let you go, and it's great talking to you, Pat. And
Okay. Well, thank you.
And keep going, right? And we'll do some more shows together and hang out together. It'll be fun. I enjoy like the guys in my band like playing playing with you, because they said it's fun to watch you play, and they have a good time sitting back and watching the show. So it's.
I just love playing guitar.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I don't blame you. And it shows. It shows, Pat, that you do. All right, man. I'll see you. I'll see you at the gig tomorrow night.
All right. When are we on? We on second slot again?
You're on first. And I think I'm not sure. I think since we going back to everything's wide open again, I think we're going to be going till 2:00. So I think everybody will be starting a little later. I'm not sure yet. We'll find out when we get there. The bar owner says we're open to 2. And the bar manager says, yeah, but you still got to finish by this time. You know what I mean? So we'll get. You get.
Yeah.
We
on 9.
Yeah, you're supposed to, but we'll aim for 9. But I got a feeling that we'll probably start more around 9:30. You know what I mean? Like half an hour, something like that. We'll aim for 9. But if the guy says no, you got to close at 1:30, play till 1:30, then we'll push everybody back. An extra half an hour. You know what I mean? We'll figure it out. I know the owner said they're open to 2 now, because when last time we played down there, it was 1:00. Now that they're opening up again, it's 2:00. So we'll find out when we get down there.
Okay.
All right.
So I guess we'll be there we'll get there. So we'll get there for 8:30 if we're on at 9 then.
Yeah. If you maybe get there, try to get your drummer there a little bit earlier, because he's going to have to set the kit up, right? Because the kit is the house kit, so we'll have it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think Mark will get it out or something, or we'll find out where to get it, and then we'll bring the house kit out, so nobody has to bring a kit. You know what I mean? The kit will be there.
Yeah, well, I'll be there by 8:30.
Okay, I'll see you at 8:30.
Okay, so I'll call Steve and the boys tonight, and I'll let them know the plan.
Okay, you got it.
Okay. Perfect. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Pat. Take care. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Bye. So that was Pat Axe, and he's fun to listen to and talk. He's tons of influences, right? Playing a long time, just like a lot of us. Good musician, and I mean it. You're not stroking somebody's ego. He's really original sounding, so unique sounding, and in his playing and his singing and his approach to things in music. So that's Pat Axe, and he's playing with us. Today's Saturday night. Don't mind me. And we're doing a show together in East Vancouver in the Hood at a place called the Princeton Pub. So I'm Izzy Dakota Jones with the Art of Doing podcast for 2022. Peace out. Be safe.